I work for Superdrug Stores PLC, and we are a health and beauty retailer in the UK and Ireland. So mainly we sell cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and toiletries. And our company colour is pink, hence the very pinkness of our version of MangoApps. So I haven't produced any slides because I prefer to kind of wing this sort of thing. So it's interesting actually. So we're a retailer. We have 14,000 staff members, and we have an interesting internal communications challenge because out of our 14,000 staff members, only 2,000 of them are connected with an email address. So we essentially have the large proportion of the business are unconnected, which meant that when we're looking at a solution in terms of being able to speak to people, we immediately are kind of disconnected by things that have kind of AD integration, because we don't have everyone on an Active Directory. And we also have a really wide range of ages in our business because we're a retailer. We've got a very typical board of very older men, right down to, it is a very typical board. We literally have like 9 guys and 1 woman, and yes, that woman is the HR director, as always. So yeah, very typical. And then obviously you have all the way down to the sales floor where we've kind of got your people who are kind of doing a bit of a part-time job while they're at school and college. And because of that breadth of ages and people type, we need to communicate in many different ways, but we also need to recognise that we have a very large proportion of our workforce that won't watch anything longer than 2 minutes long, won't read a handout, generally are not engaged by text and live in a very digital world. And we had a bit of a purpose to build a community within Superdrug. So our company values are teamwork, learning, honesty, and customer service. So obviously a big thing around teamwork and honesty is about having an outlet for people to work as a team, regardless of whether you sit right next to that person. And honesty, you know, actually everyone's got a voice, and everybody's opinion's really valid. And people sitting behind a desk in head office are not the people who are best qualified to tell you what's happening on the shop floor and what things we need to be doing. So interesting enough, for a retail business, our intranet is not aimed operationally at all, and is completely optional. And it's encouraged to use it in your own time, using your own device. And we don't give people any rules about what they're able to share, what they're not able to share, because we believe that you employ adults who you think are professional enough to serve your customers, so therefore you should believe that they are professional enough to behave professionally within an environment, and behave like adults. Unlike a lot of places where you hire adults, then treat them like children because you then give them a massive policies and procedure manual and tell them how to live their lives. So this is all about being individual, fun, collaborative, and actually as a result of that, you end up with people sharing best practice, knowledge, people creating friendships that they wouldn't normally have, and also really eliminating kind of any of that hierarchical structure that blocks you from talking to people in a much more casual way. So this is how we came about finding MangoApps to be a really good fit for us, because MangoApps is incredibly social, incredibly intuitive, and works pretty much exactly how you would expect a social site to work. So when we launched MangoApps, we did no training. We obviously did a bit of a launch campaign so that people knew it was there, where they would download the app, how they would access it, but no actual user training. So no kind of this is how you get logged on or this is how you would create a post, because we were confident in its abilities to just be really easy to access and use. Obviously the app is a massive benefit to that because it's available in the App Store, and pretty much everybody kind of knows how to download an app, so you don't really need much instruction. So much like what Patrick was showing, what we do is, obviously as you can imagine, 14,000 people. Sorry, what I probably should have mentioned When we joined, within the first 8 weeks, we had 10,000 or 14,000 people online. So, as you can imagine, our newsfeed can be a bit crazy because depending on how many people you want to follow and how many things you express interest in, depends on kind of how busy your newsfeed is. So what we do is we use the company news page to sort of make some content a bit more static so that it's really easy to find things that we believe we want to make sure that you see. So that if you came on and you're following loads of people and actually they're sharing really lovely stuff, but you kind of want to make sure you haven't missed anything that the company has pushed down, then this is kind of where we would pin it. And we pin it in tabs where we've got highlights. So we've got, we pin top tips guide stays there permanently, and that's just a little bit of savvy about social, internal social and external social, just people realising that whatever you share could be shared by others, could be seen by others, and just some little top tips really. And then the read all about it tab is where we there just post, just hold all posts in a chronological order that have come from the business. So this is where we kind of keep, I guess, the corporate side, but we're not a very corporate business, as you probably can see there. So the trading summary, that's our CEO. Even to the point of his photo, it's about, you know, being approachable, smiling. We do a weekly kind of note to everybody from him about the previous week's kind of sales and performance, and we share things such like new store openings and things like that. So yes, as I mentioned, loads of people use the site. So I have lots of people on my newsfeed, but I guess it's just interesting to show that people do use the reactions. So along the bottom there, we can see something was shared yesterday, midday. We've had 32 likes, 42 super likes, 15 yays, 5 wows, and 22 comments. And that's around people asking for sort of suggestions, a bit of a survey to kind of get a feel for how we can raise awareness of recycling in the business, so a bit of a CSR kind of stuff. I'm conscious, am I running over time or? No, am I good? Am I good? Cool, so the way in which we do this is essentially Superdrug News and the profile that's called the Hub, because this is what we call our site. That's the profile that I will log on to in terms of internal communications to be kind of, that's the profile of the company as such. Then I have my own personal profile, which is the profile that I'm logged in as, which is where I'm just me as an individual within the business. So what happens is everybody automatically follows the Hub, so that they always get all the company news, and then you choose who else you follow and what else you want to be interested in. So what Patrick showed you as teams is what we call collabs, and we just named it that because we thought it was more down with the kids, because it's like little collaboration spaces, and we thought it sounded a bit cool. But essentially, these are like your optional parts of the site. So these are the places that we allow people to create their own, as well as the company creates them. And these are spaces where you create kind of mini projects and mini areas of interest where you might want to share things specific to that area. So if I was to pick one out, for example, we've got a women's network where we talk about women in business and issues that women face in the working world. And that was set up by just someone within the business who's really passionate about that. And then sort of people can choose to join it, and if you do, then that kind of activity appears in your feed. And then that's kind of like a movable, kind of evolving thing that you can opt in and opt out on. And then we use departments more statically to house content like product information when we have new products that release into store. And we do things like, if we have a new product release, we will put product information on about that product and then allow people to take a small quiz where they answer questions based on their product, and we call this informal learning. So it enables people to choose to upskill themselves, and then we enter them into like prize draws and send people kind of like spot prizes and stuff for taking part. And they have a really high engagement factor, even though they're not driven. I could talk about it forever, but I'm conscious that is probably my time.
Thank you, Vikki.